it's not affordable, and it's neglect, not care. The reason I say that is because the most expensive part of healthcare is for senior citizens. And when senior citizens are hospitalized, the culture that has been developed by liberal thinkers is to promote the neglect, the benign neglect of the elderly, so that they will not survive, because they've made a table chart. And helping the elderly survive does not make sense in dollars and cents. And if we could cut out certain things from the elderly, then we could go ahead and give supposedly free insurance to those who don't pay anything. This sounds like a good idea for the people who are getting free insurance, but it's not a good idea if you're older. In fact, it's a terrible idea. And the net result will be not just that they will neglect in a benign way to not give full care to the elderly, but it will be one step closer to euthanasia. The buzzword that people have used to promote this kind of murder, and it's nothing less than murder, is the word quality of life. So first of all, in Jewish law, life trumps quality any day. The only thing is, a person can make the choice that he or she does not want to undergo pain. But a person does not have the choice whether one should live or die. In other words, you can't kill yourself, nor can you ask somebody to help you kill yourself. And furthermore, when a person can live and can do certain things or experience certain things, that should be celebrated and encouraged. Once you discourage a person from living, or people who are responsible for the care of an elderly, once you go ahead and get them to agree to neglect their loved ones, then not just a slippery slope, the difference and distinction between that and outright euthanasia is meaningless and becomes easy, and will become so in the future. So the Affordable Health Care Act is unaffordable, and it's neglect, not care. And I will give you my own experience. My mother, God bless her, is 89 years young. She has been to the hospital multiple times this year. She's got congestive heart failure. We know that she won't live for 30 years. Whatever time she has, we want her to live. So the last time she was in the hospital, for several days, the hospital did not feed her, with the excuse that they were trying to get her to eat on her own. Well, she couldn't swallow. And after 72 hours, without any nourishment, you're going to get weaker. And that's what happened to my mother. And lo and behold, as soon as they put nourishment through a tube down her nose, my mother was able to fight off the infection, and within a few days left the hospital. So it is clear, when I confronted the doctor then became all huffy and puffy and said, well, we discussed a lot of things, yes, but I never agreed to let my mother die. And that is what they wanted me to do. And I didn't agree to that. I'll give you a case in contrast. A former student of mine, who's a very, very popular writer has won a Pulitzer Prize, wrote an article how difficult it was to let go of his mother. His mother was in a coma. She was assisted with her breathing with a respirator. The children were told by doctors that there was no hope of recovery. And therefore, to continue the respirator was only going to protract the agony of the family as well as their mother. And so they agreed to the suggestion of the doctors to remove their mother from life support. Now the mother continued to breathe for several hours, not minutes, several hours. That means she was breathing partially on her own. When a person was breathing on their own and has been given assistance, taking that person off of that assistance is traumatic and helps accelerate the death of the person and causes the death of the person. According to Jewish law, under certain circumstances when there is no hope, you don't have an obligation of giving the person heroic measures, things that are outside of the person's ability. If there's pain, if there's protracted, if there's no hope, if the systems are breaking down, there are people who will say, rabbis who will say, you don't have to go ahead and do that. My rabbis told me whatever you need to do to maintain and continue the life you must do. They had a different perspective. But even if we assume, according to those, there are those who say that if there's no hope, you don't do heroic measures. You don't go ahead and put them on a respirator machine, for example, to work the lungs. That's putting the person on the respirator. Once the person's on the respirator, you can't take that person off. When a person is dying, we're not allowed to even move the person's head. We're not allowed to remove a pillow from his head, because that's going to accelerate the death. Oh, what do you think this was? Direct acceleration of death, which according to Jewish law is murder. So in effect, the Pulitzer Prize winning student of mine participated in the murder of his mother. Of course, he wasn't willing to listen to a rabbi. What does a rabbi know? Well, neither do the doctors know anything about the soul, anything about the sanctity of life. They're technicians. They don't know anything about the soul. Well, Rabbi, have you seen the soul? No, but I felt the soul. I know what the soul is. I knew people who could affect the soul by the sight. And when you go ahead and you play God, the next level isn't just removal from breathing. The next level is an active cause of death by doctors. That's what the next level is. And that's what's going to happen. But in the meantime, it's just removal, neglect. Don't feed your mother. Don't take your mother off the respirator, because it's too expensive. That's the real reason why that was done. Because when you can save money on that end, you'll have lots of money for people who are pimps and prostitutes and all kinds of dregs who'll get free health care instead of your mother. It doesn't mean that the other people are undeserving of having health care. But not at my mother's expense, not at your mother's expense. You know what? It's going to be your expense down the line. You're going to be 89 soon. What's going to happen then? Do you really want to die quicker? Oh, quality of life. Who's to determine what's the value of life? Obama? Emmanuel? Where are their certificates in the value of the